A very good morning to all of you. Today I am going to discuss about the disaster risk management for sustainable development. Different kinds of disasters, hazards are very common in urban area. So for urban area development, for sustainable development of an urban area, we should also focus on the management of disaster risk. We should also focus on the mitigation of disasters. So today's topic is very important in case of sustainable urban planning, that is disaster risk management for sustainable development. So I would like to start with a figure. So there was a, you can see the earth is having tremendous pressure from human growth, climate change, ecosystems, and different surprises. Okay, so the quadruple squeeze on the earth because of the human growth, because of the ecosystems, climate, and surprises. And the climate change risk is increasing day by day. So the risk from climate change is depends on the cumulative emissions of the greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide. And because of the high emission or because of the high concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it turns on the annual GHG emission over the next decades. Okay, so the climate change is happening. It's fact. Climate change is happening around the world, and the most important factor behind the climate change is the global warming. That is, you can say, because of the emission of greenhouse gases, and all the greenhouse gases, among all the greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide is having very important, having major role in the concentration of high greenhouse gases around the world. Okay, so the key risk for climate disruption in Asia. So here the topic is about the key risk of the climate disruption in Asia. The key risk in the climate is the increased riverine, coastal, and the urban flooding that lead to the widespread damage to the infrastructure, livelihood, settlements in different part of the Asian countries. And because of this climate change, there is an increased risk of heat related mortality. There may be the increased risk of drought related water and food shortage, causing the malnutrition. So these are some of the risks that is induced from the climate change in the Asian countries. Okay, so for the first risk, that is the increased riverine, coastal, and urban flooding, the adaptation issues and prospects should include the exposure of the reduction via the structural and non-structural measures that is effective for land use planning, a reduction in the vulnerability of the lifeline infrastructure services that will have the water, energy, waste management, food, biomass. Okay, and construction of the monitoring and early warning system is used to measure and identify the exposed area. And by identifying the areas having in danger, we can assess the vulnerability areas and households and diversity livelihood. Okay, heat health warning system is used to diminish the problem from the problem of the heat related mortality. The urban planning is used to reduce the urban island, that will be helpful for improving the built up environment and the development of the sustainable cities and sustainable urban area. Okay, the new work practices is used to avoid the heat stress among the outdoor workers. Disaster preparedness, including the early warning system and the local coping strategies. Then we should adopt the water resource management, water infrastructure, and reservoir development can be used as a adaptation for the risk related to the water resources. Okay, diversification of water resources, including the water reuse, more efficient use of water that is used for improving the agricultural practices, irrigation management, and the resilient agriculture. So different drivers are responsible for different kinds of key risks related to the climate change: heavy rainfall, drought, flood. Okay, and rise in the temperature, rise in the coastal water bodies, and other things. So average yearly economic losses from the natural disasters. In the Southeast Asian countries, you can see the early economic loss is increased in year 2002 to 2013. Okay, and initially when there was a less population and there was a less urbanized area, so the economic loss was very less in early time. But right now the economic loss because of different natural disasters, different kinds of hazards, earthquake, tsunami, storm, flood, and wildfires are causing a high damage to the economical condition of that area. Okay, so this graph is from the ESCAP technical paper information and the communication technology and disaster risk reduction division. Okay, so the elements of risk, when we talk about risk, so risk is having four different elements: hazards, exposure, location, and vulnerability. By combining all these factors, by combining all these four elements, we can calculate the risk. For analyzing or for measuring the risk, we should first start with the hazard zonation mapping, then exposure, location, and the vulnerability index. Then we can easily identify the risk and the level of risk. And by analyzing the level of risk, we can work for the adaptation and mitigation strategies. These are the characteristics of different kinds of disasters: predictability, controllability, speed of onset, length of forewarning, duration of impact, scope and intensity of the impact. So when we talk about any kind of disaster, so for any kind of disaster, these characteristics are very important to know. What is the predictability of that disaster, controllability, what is the speed of onset disasters, length of the forewarning, how much duration will be there for the disaster impact, and scope and intensity of the impact. The hazard, exposure, and vulnerability drive directly risk in the disaster risk management. So when we talk about the risk assessment, risk analysis, so we are having important role from the hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. By integrating all these factors, we can calculate, we can measure the direct risk or indirect risk. And the disaster risk is basically depends on the hazards, vulnerability, and exposure. And we should calculate, we should measure the risk by using the formula which is written here: risk is equal to hazard into exposure into vulnerability divided by the adaptive capacity. So reducing the risk and increasing the resilience is an important for the disaster management. We should work on reduction of the risk and we should increase the resilience, so that we can easily handle, we can easily tackle the negative impacts of the disasters, any kind of climate change induced disasters and the hazards. Now I am going to discuss the resilience. About the resilience, what is resilience? So when we talk about the resilience, so resilience word is a etymology that was appeared in 17th century from the Latin word that is resilience, resilere, to rebound, recoil, reback, plus celare to jump. So resilience is the Latin word. It was appeared first in 17th century, and it can be defined as the capacity of a system to absorb the disturbance and recognize while undergoing the changes, so as to still remain essentially the same function, the structure, identity, and the feedbacks. Okay, and resilience can also have the ability to absorb the disturbances, to be changed and do and then to reorganize and still have the same identity, and that is used to retain the same basic structure and ways of the functioning. And it includes the ability to learn from the disturbances. A resilient system is forgiving of external shocks. So this is all about the resilience. So these are the key factors that influence the resilience capacity and decreasing the risk related to any disaster. So equity, institutional factor includes the resources, what kind of planning we are having, what is the responsiveness, accountability, rule of law. There may be some political factors, that is a that is based on the quality of leadership, participation, representation. Cultural factor is also there, that includes the knowledge transfer, belief system, customs. Social factor includes the communication, support network, organization, inclusion, conflict and resolution. Environmental factor is also there, what kind of land is there, what is the accessibility to the natural resources, what is the sustainability scenario in that area, what kind of human population is there, what is the food security condition, what is the health condition. Education system is also important, is also having important role in resilience. Economic condition is a key factor that can influence the resilience, that includes the income security, access to the markets, livelihood diversity, flexibility, financial services, land tenure. There are physical factors also there, structures, water bodies, and sanitization. So these are some of the key factors that influence the resilience. And by integrating or by considering all these factors, we can work on the reduction of disaster risk in an area. So this is the these are the key factors, and it is very important to know that for resilience we should have the knowledge of the risk. We should have proper information about the risk so that we can easily work on the resilience of that system. The disaster risk management cycle having different components. It is having pre-disaster, response, and post-disaster. So under pre-disaster component, we should have risk assessment, mitigation, prevention, preparedness. And during the disaster, what is the response of the system, what is the response of the government and local authorities, that will have warning, evacuation, how we can save the people, providing the immediate assistance, assessing the damage, ongoing assistance, and the restoration of the infrastructural services. Okay, then post disaster in activities includes reconstruction, that having resettlement, relocation, economic and social recovery, ongoing development activities, and risk assessment, mitigation, and the prevention. So there are three stages of disaster risk management cycle, that is pre-disaster, disaster response, and the post-disaster. During any disaster, we should focus on these three stages. How we work in the pre-disaster stage, how what is the response of the local government, what is the response of the local authorities during the disaster, and what will be the uh, what will be the scenarios in the post-disaster, after the disaster, how we can manage the negative effects, how we can manage the damages caused by the disaster. Okay, so this is the cycle of disaster risk management. So the prevention includes the outright avoidance of the adverse impacts of the hazards and related disasters. Prevention means it expresses the concept and intention to completely avoid the potential adverse impacts through the action that is taken in advance. For an example, it includes the dams or the embankments that eliminate the flood risk, land use regulation that do not permit any settlement in the high risk zones, and seismic engineering designs that ensures the survival and function of a critical building in any likely earthquake. Very often, the complete avoidance of the losses is not feasible, and the task transforms to that of mitigation. Partly for this reason, the term prevention and mitigation are sometimes used interchangeably in casual use. Mitigation is the lessening or limitation of the adverse impacts of different hazards and related disasters. So, for mitigation, we should work on the adverse impacts of the hazards that is often cannot be prevented fully, but their scale or severity can be substantially lessened by various strategies and actions. The mitigation strategies is used to measure the encompass engineering techniques and hazard resistance construction, as well as improved environmental policies and public awareness. It should be noted that in climate change policy, mitigation is defined differently. Begin the term used for the reduction of greenhouse gas emission that are the source of climate change. And third component is the preparedness. For preparedness, we should work on the knowledge and the capacities that will be developed by the government, local authorities, different professionals, the response and the recovery organizations, different communities and individuals to effectively anticipate the respond to and recover from the impacts of likely imminent or current hazard events or conditions. So preparedness action is carried out within the context of disaster risk management, and preparedness aims to build the capacities that is needed to effectively manage all the types of emergencies and achieve the orderly transitions from response through to sustained recovery. And preparedness is based on a sound analysis of disaster risk and good linkage with early warning systems, and includes such activities as contingency planning, stockpiling of equipment and supplies, the development of arrangements for coordination, evacuation, and public information. And it is associated training and field exercise. These must be supported by formal institutional, legal, and boundary capacities. The term readiness describes the ability of the system to quickly and appropriately respond when required during the preparedness stage. So disaster happen, and it happens. You cannot prevent the disasters to be happen, but you can plan for them, work to prevent them, or you can turn a blind eye and hope you will never occur. Sooner or later you must deal with one. Disaster comes in all sizes. Sometimes disasters affects a small neighborhood, sometimes it affects the entire community, entire system, and in the most extreme and tragic time, the entire region and the country. Since you do not know when or how extensive disaster will be, you can only be prepared. So we can work on the preparedness stage. So during the disaster and when the disaster occurs, we can easily prevent, we can easily mitigate in the scenario of disasters. So we should always work on the preparedness for to reduce the effect of disasters. Okay, so disaster response planning and prevention or preparedness are performed when all is same and quiet, and decisions are made in a rational and it can be carefully considered manner. Okay. Structural and non-structural measures in the disaster prevention. During the prevention and preparedness planning stage of the disaster, we can measure it in two different ways: structural and non-structural. When we talk about structural measures, it is having any physical construction to reduce or avoid the possible impacts of the hazards, or application of engineering techniques to achieve hazard resistance and resilience in structures or the systems. In case of non-structural measures, it is a kind of measure that not involve physical construction, that uses the knowledge, practices, or agreement to reduce the risk and impacts. In particular, the policies and laws, public awareness raising, training, and the education. The disaster preparedness should be in the form of money, manpower, and materials. It should be in the evaluation from past experience about the risk, location of disaster prone areas, organization of the communication, information, and the warning system, ensuring the coordination and response mechanism, development of public education program, coordination with the media, what is the relationship between national and international societies and communities, and keeping stock of foods, drugs, and other essential commodities and services. So this is the disaster risk at a glance for a area having population around 6, 7, 6, 9, 7 to 7. Okay, and we should use the global knowledge and experience as a basis for the disaster preparedness. For disaster preparedness, we should use the knowledge and experience from the science and technology, construction techniques, environmental protection, policy implementation, resilient enterprises, natural and technical hazards, resilient development, and resilient transportation. So all these information and knowledge acquired from different sources can be seed bed for the disaster resilience campaign that meets the community needs. So the recommendations for disaster management is the mobilizing the stakeholder participation of the self-help groups, women groups, and youth groups. Anticipatory governance includes the simulation exercise, mock drills, and the scenario analysis, indigenous knowledge systems, and the coping practices living with the risk that includes the community-based disaster risk management. Investments in the preparedness and the prevention will yield the sustainable results rather than spending the money on relief of the disaster. The most disasters are predictable, especially in their seasonality, and the disaster prone areas which are vulnerable. Different communities must be involved in the disaster preparedness. And now, moving to the next slide, the inclusive, participatory, and gender sensitive preparedness should be there. Child friendly, eco friendly, and disabled the friendly disaster management. Technology driven but people owned. Knowledge management includes the documentation and the dissemination of the good practices, and the public private partnership is required for the disaster preparedness. So the summary of the today's lecture is that the humanity has had a huge impact on the planet's resource base and ecological systems, causing planetary climate disruption that is producing more extreme weather events and the impacts. So we must focus on adaptive resilience of our socio-economic and natural environmental system. We know what to do. So these are some of the measures. These are some of the steps, or you can say these are the preparedness stages, mitigation stages, and the other activities that is very much useful for managing the disasters. Disaster management is very much useful for the sustainable development, or you can say disaster management is a part of sustainable development of an area. And in case of urbanized area, in case of highly urbanized area, there may be always the possibility of flooding, there may be the always possibility of extreme rainfall events. So we should ready uh, with some preparedness plan in case of any such kind of natural or man-made disasters occurred in that region. So thank you very much for today's lecture, and in the next class we will meet with the next lecture for the discussion. Thank you very much.